Thoughts never spoken,
feelings,
never prices,
truth, thoughts.
truths never voiced.
Welcome to the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis, where the rubber meets the road and the unspoken finds its voice. This is more than a podcast. This is a space for the thoughts you've been holding in, the conversation you've been avoiding, the feelings you've been struggling to explain. It's a platform for honesty, a safe place for courage, and voice for those who haven't found theirs yet. Here we don't run from real life.
We face it.
Whether you're calling in to share your story or listening because you're not ready to speak yet, this platform was built for you. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
What's really going on? This is the Unspoken Voices podcast.
Good evening, good afternoon in some places, good morning in others. Welcome. This is the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis, and I greet y'all with greeting words of peace. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for taking time out to be here with us on another episode of the Unspoken Voices podcast. First and foremost, as we always do, we want to take a moment first and give glory to God for being able to allow us to be here, to give us another day to get it right. And I want to thank him for all the things that we've been through, that we're going through, that he pulled us out of to make it to this point. I want to thank him for having our families in good health. And for those who are struggling, we want to give them the ability that Jesus gave his life for us, so that we'll have the ability to be able to have a better future and we have some hope. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for joining. And as always, and in keeping with how we do around here, we always got to give a shout out to our supporters. What's up, supporters? All right, now, we always got to give a shout out to who? Y'all already know who we're going to give a shout out to. Our sponsors. Give me a moment. All right, my sponsors still ain't came through yet, but I always gave them that moment. Now, but I'm tell you what though, I did have an interesting conversation last week about my sponsors. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give out this is called a free, shameless plug in efforts to introduce sponsorship. How about that? So, give a shout out to my man Ty and his family over there at Chi-Town Chill Grill. It's getting ready to get hot outside. Ty gonna be pumping up them grills. So, look them up on Instagram. Look them up on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. Chi-Town Chill Grills. Get your grill, get your custom-made grill built by this young man with his own bare hands. Second up, I ain't been there in about another week or so, but I always got to give a shout-out to my local barbershop, the Loft Barbershop up here in Romeoville. My guy Avery, the master barber up there. Hey, Avery, I'm giving you a shameless plug, too. So I'm coming for that haircut next week, right? Thank you very much with a shameless plug. Now, before I get to the show, interesting week. Everything's been good so far. I tuned y'all into some things. Everybody around me is healthy so far. I ain't had nothing going on. So, here we go. Because it's been a big issue, big question, big things that want to be addressed, okay? If you died today, would your family be okay? I'm gonna say it again, and I want to let it sit down for y'all for a minute. If you passed away or if you died today, unfortunately, everybody got to go sometime. But if you died today, would your family be okay? See, we work hard every day. We get up, we go to work, we pay bills. But did anybody ever teach us how money works? Well, today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about financial literacy, protection, and generational wealth. And it's bigger than just money, it's about legacy. So we have on our own, or one of my own, Baltimore natives, Miss Paula Robbins. And I'm going to bring Paula on, and she can introduce herself and give y'all an idea of who she is and some information on her, because I would give her all her credentials, but I'll let her do it herself. So everybody give a round of applause, shoot out a little couple hearts out there, and welcome Paula onto the stage.
Hi everyone. How y'all
Hey.
doing? First of all, I want to say happy Financial Literacy Awareness Month. I know some of you guys may not know that that was a thing, but it is a thing. April is Financial Literacy Month. Thank you for having me on, Charles.
Hey, what's up, Paula? Hey, look, it's exciting to have, first of all, to have someone on, right? It's always exciting for me because we're giving out good information. But it's extra exciting, especially when I got individuals that I grew up with, right? And to see you prosper and to have a Baltimore native to come on and we doing something positive and giving out good information for individuals to help them along the way. So, with that in keeping, so tell the people, who is Paula Robbins beyond the title? Or tell me about the title. Let's get to the business.
So I am Paula Robbins. I have been born and raised in Baltimore. This is my middle school, high school friend that I grew up with. Um, so a little bit about me. I was told I was raised by my dad. I'm my only kid, little little spoil. I'm a daddy's girl. So, but my dad told me that you need to go to school, get good grades, get a degree, get a good job. So I said, okay. So we on a car ride, one day we was like, well, what you want to do? I honestly wanted to do hair. Not gonna lie, wanted to do hair. However, my dad's wife at the time was like, no, gotta do something a little bit more stable. So I said, okay. In my day and age, healthcare was it. So that's what I did. Been working in healthcare ever since high school. I didn't climb the ladder, went to school, got a degree, have a bachelor's degree in health services management. But I always wanted to be more. I just want to be successful because I saw success in my dad. So always kept a part-time job, always on a hustle, right? Because for me, my goal was to forget that it's payday. So
Mm,
that that's
okay.
that's my journey. I want to forget that it's payday. So one day I was working and I came across this amazing young lady. She's amazing, right? We become good friends. And we was just having a good time, laughing. I always like to be positive, and she was celebrating health and I was celebrating her. She just liked my energy. And so I met with her and we had a conversation about financial literacy. And what I found is that I'm gonna just keep working, getting these degrees and being in a different pay group, but why not bet on myself? And what really got me is that when she talked to me about retirement, I wasn't really sure that I was prepared for retirement.
Mm.
So, um, that's how I got where I am
So that so
because
when you said so you said why not bet on yourself?
meaning bet on
Ooh,
myself. Stop making the organization that I work for
uh,
the CEO who I'll never see.
okay.
instead of giving him my time and energy and making him rich, I'm gonna be the CEO of my company
Okay,
and
okay.
make me rich. So
Right,
now I'm in
right.
business for myself, and what I do is I educate people with financial literacy.
Okay. So that's what kind of led you into the financial service. So if that be the case, so tell the people what's the name of your business?
Robin's Prosperity Partners.
Robin's Prosperity
Prosperity Partners,
Partner.
yes.
All
And
right,
what
that's
we
like
do,
go
uh-huh.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What we do is that we just help families become debt free, financially independent, and properly protected.
Okay. That sounds like a tongue twister to me though, because some of us and I'm gonna tell you something. I just caught this myself, right? For those people who are out there listening to us, all right, it ain't, you said the TOO, like, and it say But anyway, I'm gonna hear about this all the time. Bro, they like, y'all from, 'cause I'm trying to tell you, like, y'all both from Baltimore. We heard the you. All right, cool. So we're gonna get this out the way. Let everybody know, look, as professional as things can be, we're still from Baltimore.
We
So
are from Baltimore.
so if you hear the two, the blue, the the you, guess what? Get used to it. Get used to it. Yeah. All right. So, hey, Paul, so now that we moving into it, maybe I got one or two questions. Maybe one question, but anyway, why do you think that we wasn't taught money?
Because we were taught, so our parents, okay, I know for me, okay, and a lot of our parents, given the era that we grew up in, they worked. A lot of them don't have college degrees. So a lot of times they want us to be better, to do the things that they couldn't do. Now I know my dad was working at Bethlehem Steel since the day after I was born. So he never got a chance to go to college.
Wow.
So for me to go to college and be, I guess first gen to get a college degree, that was something that he wanted me to do. So we were taught to work, go to school, get a degree, get a good job. That's what we were taught, but no one ever sat down and actually told us about money. Now we were
Mm,
told that you put your money in the bank and you should have a savings account, but no one ever taught us how to compound our income to build wealth.
mm, okay.
And
You know what?
a,
That makes sense.
mhm.
That makes
And a
sense.
lot of people, because I know a lot of I've heard coming up, oh, I don't trust the bank. I keep my money home. How can your money compound at home? It's not collecting any interest,
Mm. It
right?
collecting dust.
It's collecting that's about it, collecting dust, right?
Right.
But see,
Mhm.
the thing about it is no one actually sat down in the African American community and taught us about the stock market.
Mm,
Because when we think about the stock market, we like, I don't put my money in the stock market because stock market go down, I'm gonna lose money. And that's not true.
okay.
It's they have not properly educated us about wealth. Because that really wasn't the game plan for brown people.
Mm, okay. Oh, but and I say, well, I'm not going to just say brown people. I'm going to say the individuals who wasn't silver spoon or didn't inherit money through their family, because you got all types of ethnicities that are in a lower income bracket that didn't inherit money, land, things of that nature. So, if you were to give a key assumption on two things, what would you think is one of the biggest financial mistakes, or or a misconception about protection?
Protection. That's income protection. And that's what life insurance is, income protection, right? But
Okay,
one of the biggest misconceptions about it is that it's for dying, it's for burial, and it's not.
okay, talk to me.
So it's for the living.
Okay,
Because, for instance, Charles, If something happens to you, now mind you, life insurance cannot insure your life because unless you are in that movie I Am Legend
Uh-huh.
with Will Smith and that German Shepherd,
You're right.
ain't none of us getting out of here alive, right? But what life insurance can do is it can ensure that your income is going to go back to your family. So that's
Okay.
what it is. It's income protection. You're ensuring that, Lord forbid, something happens to you, that your wife, your children, your income will be replaced. And a
Hmm.
lot of times, people either don't have life insurance because I don't know, they might not want to have the conversation about it, or they don't believe it. They feel like, oh, I have insurance on my job, and that's we're going to get to that job insurance because yes, you want to get extra protection, but that's not enough.
Okay.
It's not enough at all. So life insurance is that your family don't have to struggle, that if something happens to you, that we're not going to do a GoFundMe. And
Oh, oh, now you said that, man. Let me pause for a minute because that's serious. But before we get to that part, um, could you tell the people some different types or variations of life insurance?
sure.
Okay,
So there's primarily three
okay.
types of life insurance. There's the group insurance that you get with your job, right?
Hmm.
And most times when you leave your job, you're going to leave that insurance because that's your job's insurance that they have on you. So if you
Okay,
get laid off, you get fired, you change jobs, in most cases, that's it. You no longer have that insurance. And if they tell you you can take it with you, because a lot of people are like, oh no, I can take it with me. The lady can't, okay, you may can take it with you, but you're gonna pay more than what you paid with the group.
okay, okay,
Okay. And then there's cash value, which is whole life, universal life, variable life, and the new things they have is the IULs,
yeah,
right?
okay,
That is so popular because a lot of times it's a savings account attached to it. So most people get these types of life insurance policies because they want that extra savings account
hmm,
that's attached to it. But what a lot of people don't understand is that with that type of policy, and I'm not knocking anyone who have a whole life policy, I will leave my information at the end and we can go over your policy with you to make sure that you have enough coverage and it's right. But there are loopholes to those policies, to
okay.
those whole life cash value policies. And then there's term insurance. And a lot of times with term, a lot of people get afraid of term insurance, like, oh no, my term is going to run out. So with term, you buy term and you invest the difference. So instead of like with the whole life where they bundle everything together,
Hmm.
right? So you really don't know what's going to your life insurance and what is going into your savings. Okay. With term policy, you get way more coverage, but for less the cost.
Okay.
And then what you do is you invest the difference. So then you know what you're paying monthly for your policy and what you're paying in your investment.
All right, hold on, hold on, hold on. So I want to make sure you're right because I'm listening and learning, right? So you said you invest the difference. That's the difference between what the term would be and what the whole life would be, or
So what no, when you have term, you buy
okay,
term, you get a term
okay.
policy. So if
Hmm.
I say to you, Charles, what can you comfortably set aside for your income protection, for your life insurance, and what can you save? And you say,
Okay,
okay, I can save $200, right?
okay, okay,
What I'm gonna do is we're gonna sit and we're gonna take $100 for your policy,
okay,
and we're gonna put $100 into an investment.
okay, okay, okay.
So that way you know where your money's going, where your $200 is going,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
if you have an emergency, we're going to come to that investment.
Okay,
Because see, that way you can save for an emergency, college fund, if you want to travel. This is your, whatever you want to save that money for, you have that extra money. and
Right.
it's not gonna interfere with your death benefit.
Okay. All right.
Because now with whole life is that there's loopholes, and
Okay.
that's one of the loopholes with
All
whole
right.
life.
See now you know what? I'm glad we reached out because now I'm learning a little something. And we're only a few minutes into the whole demonstration, right? So I'm learning something. I appreciate you taking the time to give me and our audience, our future audience, and everybody else some insight into these things. Now, this is what I'm gonna do because I'm gonna give you a minute to really breathe on this one, but I want to hear your perspective of this next question, right?
Okay.
And when I drop this question on you, I'm gonna drop myself out because by you being in the industry that you in, I think that your opinion matters. Your opinion matters, like the show say. You know, your opinion matters on the Unspoken Voices podcast. So here's the
Okay.
question. Here's the question. Has GoFundMe replaced life insurance? I'm gonna say it again. For a lot of people, even in your opinion, has GoFundMe replaced life insurance? And I'm gonna put myself down and I'm gonna give you a few minutes to talk to everybody just about that issue from your perspective and your industry. So we can shine
Okay.
some light on some things, okay?
Okay.
All
And
right.
you know what, Charles? That's a good question. Has GoFundMe replaced life insurance? GoFundMe is not life insurance. It is not. And the sad thing about it is people feel like, oh, when something happens, they're going to go do a GoFundMe. But what I've learned, people don't give. People do not give. And a lot of times, people are asking for like 5,500, 6,000 for GoFundMe, and you're not even raising that at all. And then you have fees with GoFundMe. So I'm not even sure if you're getting all of the money from GoFundMe. And then the question is, if something happens to you, your family is already grieving. So why would you put your family into another space where they have to, on top of grieving the loss of you, why would you put them in a position that they also have to beg for someone to help them? That that's extra grief and misery that you're creating for your family. So you should have something in place that if something happens to you, you should not have, it's like an embarrassment, because a lot of times people are on social media, you're partying, you dress to kill, and then when something happens to you, your family's doing a GoFundMe. You had money for everything else, but you didn't make sure that you had something in place for your family. And honestly, that's not fair to your family. It's not, it would not be fair to me that if something happens to me, that I have my children have to post GoFundMe. Now I know sometimes things happen because I've just witnessed the incidents where a good friend of mine, something was put in place, but they can't find it. So yes, they had to do a GoFundMe because no one have all of the funds that they need. That's understandable. But if you deliberately is not going to do anything to help your family and you just think, oh, they can just do a GoFundMe, that's not fair. And that's not life insurance. That is not life insurance.
Man. You know what? I can appreciate that. And just a little question. Like it says, like and you said, what happens to the family when you're not prepared? Right? And the real story about it is, and even I'll take a personal journey on it, that one of my sons passed away in September of 2023. And even in my history, like I said, I've been on the streets, I've been running around, all kinds of legal and illegal activities surrounding my life. You know, I was in the
Mhm.
military. I went to prison. I sold drugs. I did all these kinds of wild things, right? But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I follow suit on, I think I spoke to you about it before, is that I watched my mother did what I did for my kids. My mother has a life or had a life insurance policy on all of us. And it's not for capital gain. It was just a few $1,000s per policy. That's just to make sure that if something happens to one of us while we out here running around or whatever we doing, that at least she can bury us and give a reasonable burial. And I had that policy on my son. Never knew or never even thought and fathomed in my life that I would be using that policy this early on. And when his mom called me and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And she told me, and then one of the biggest things she said, I'll never forget it. She said, "Man, if he don't make it, Charles, I want to make sure that my son is taken care of." And as a father, as hard as it was, I still had to feel confident in the fact that, you know what, for all these years, even while I was incarcerated, I paid my son's life insurance policy. And I was able to use it. It's only a couple $1,000s. I was able to use it to pay for his burial expenses, you know?
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand and I see how important it is to be able to use it. Because I got a term life policy and I was only paying maybe what, $30, $15 a month for the policy. That's why I'm at $6,000 policy, but it was enough to lay him to rest.
You said it was $10,000?
No, it wasn't no 10,000, like
Oh, I
six.
thought, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I thought you said.
no, but
I'm
no,
sorry.
it was like 6,000. I got it through Globe Life, but I got it
Okay.
so. I mean, I got this policy way back when, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about I got this policy when I was say, see, but that's the only thing. I got this policy when I was like what, 19?
On your son?
Yeah,
Charles, that was so responsible. That, you know what? Great job. That
yeah,
was so, at 19 years old, to be that responsible to make sure that you had a life insurance policy on your son. That's awesome. I
yeah,
commend you. I do.
yep. I got, and the strange thing is crazy because I got it when I was 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
True story. I got it when I was 19, and when all my sons was born, I got a policy for each one of them, right? And we was spitting out babies like it was like we was bunny rabbits, like pouring out water. I got four sons, right? You know what I'm saying? I got four sons. Well, I got five. Man, I got five sons, and it didn't happen. But the crazy part about it is when I was 21, turned 22, I went to prison for 13 years, and even when I came out, I was 34 when I came out. Right?
Mhm.
I still had the policy.
That's awesome.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still had the policy. I came home, got my paperwork, still had the policy, and that's what I tell them. But
So
you
let
know,
me ask you a question. How did it make you feel? I know you were grieving the loss of your son, but to be
mhm,
able to do what you needed to do for him, how did that make you feel?
I felt responsible. I felt like, you know what? I felt reassured that, like, even in life, when I tried my best to take care of things with him as much as I could,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we look at it like, man, I wasn't able to do this, wasn't able to do that, right?
Right.
So in his passing, to be able to stand there and say, boy, I'm gonna take care, I got you. You know, I don't know if it makes sense, but it's like I can talk to him and say, man, I got you. Your body, it didn't go to the state. You didn't get left out. And ain't nobody struggling to run around and say, well, what can we know? Trust your father. Your father got this. You know, we're gonna handle this part right here. And then next we're gonna handle it and see what's next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that part about it made me feel relieved and secure that I made a good decision of all decisions, no matter how bad what I'm facing is. I made a good decision to put myself in a position to be able to take care of this and not leave my son left out in the cold.
Yeah.
You know, that's what hit me with that one. So there we are. But you know, a lot of people be like, man, that's not quite well. There we go. You know, I got a whole bunch of questions, right? A whole bunch of things. Um, for people to tell you part of it, I don't have no money. So what's more dangerous, being broke or being unprotected?
Being unprotected.
Okay, talk to me.
So what I found, Charles, is that people have money to do exactly what they want to do. Because now you do have people who don't have money, right?
Hmm.
But the same people have money to do whatever they want to do. They hang out Friday to Monday and still living paycheck to paycheck.
Hmm.
They buy what they wanna wear, how they look. They don't have we got broke people, but we walking around looking like $1 million.
Right.
So people make sacrifices for what they want to make sacrifices for. And the reason why people don't make sacrifices for like income protection or building wealth is because they don't know. They
Mm,
they were never taught. And if you knew better, you would do better. And then people also feel like life insurance is expensive. It's really not.
mm,
You were 19 years old,
yeah.
making sure you paid your son's life insurance policy at 19. And like remember I said term, you get way more coverage for less the cost. And people don't know that. People don't take the time. When people hear life insurance, they're like, "Oh, I can't afford it." I
Hmm.
was talking when I first started the business, because a lot of times when you start a business and when you start something, the first people you go to is family and friends.
Okay.
So, I went to my family and it's like, this is what I'm doing. Do you have a policy? And it was like a cousin, like a little OC, more seasoned than me, right?
Right.
So she was like, "Oh, I don't have life insurance because I can't afford it." And I was like, "Well, let me show you how you can afford it."
Okay.
So people don't know that they can afford life insurance. And so a lot of times people avoid it because they just like it's an extra bill.
Mm,
But that's an extra bill that is very important. It's like your car insurance. Your car insurance is illegal to drive without car insurance. It's very
unless
important.
unless
But
you're in Baltimore.
protecting, unless you're in Baltimore, it's important wherever you go. No, it's important wherever they getting you in Baltimore. They getting them Virginia tags. Yes, they are. But
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
it's like, we just need more people in the community educating and letting people know that you can afford it. Life insurance is just a big, fancy, expensive sounding phrase,
Okay.
but you can afford it.
So I know we're talking a lot about life insurance, which is very important, right? But
Hmm.
we also talk. So because I'm trying to get into the whole scope of what you do,
Or what I
right?
do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I know we talk about life insurance and we talking about like finances and things. So I would probably ask you like, where does someone start and like, and what are a few steps that people can use to improve their finances as they attempt to shift from just surviving to building? So if you were to be talking to anybody out there listening, right?
Hmm.
Where, could you give them those elements? I'm gonna give you a minute to give it to them.
Okay.
Uh,
So, first thing we would start with the income protection, which is life insurance. because that's your love letter to your family. That's how you're going to build legacy for your family, is the income protection, which is life insurance. Then what you need to do is sit with someone, uh, um, a financial coach, to start saving, or more like someone to teach you how to compound your income. Because a lot of people don't know that, yeah, you can go to your bank and you can get a high yield savings. And most banks, a high yield savings is between 2 to 4%. If you get a CD, that's between 4 to 6%. But a lot of people don't know that the global market, which is the stock market, have been given up to 12% for over 50 years. They don't tell us this. They haven't taught us this. And I'm sure a lot of people listening do not know that. And so when you take your money and you put into like an IRA or a mutual fund, you get a higher savings rate of return. So you can start there. And then you can just take some money monthly and you can just put in an investment and you can let it compound. And that means that your money is bringing, while you're sleeping, your money is making money. Your money is compounding. Your Benjamin is bringing you more Benjamins. And so your money is growing. And that's how you can just take a little bit, and over the years, you can build financial wealth and legacy for your children and your children's children. And it's just a little bit. So you don't have to feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. You can take a little bit and expand it into a lot over time. You just need the right education and someone to sit down and to show you how.
Okay, I like that. Somebody need to show me how. Listen, man. You know what? I get it, and I understand what you're saying, because in my line of work and in my line of life, even when I was out on the street, right? Hustling and bustling, doing my thing, doing my old 1-2, right? And I'm stacking money. But when I was early on, I really didn't know where to put my money, right? So I didn't, I done made I done made millions, really, like literally. The millions then went through my hands, and you still don't have nothing. You like, man, where all your bread go at? Because I didn't put it in the right places. Because if you know better, you do better. But
Absolutely.
but when I was getting money, I didn't know. I only did with the money with what I saw. So I wasn't surrounded by. I was the boss. So I wasn't surrounded by people that I could look and say, "Hey, man, they doing these things." Like, we're in the street making money, but I see people. Oh, I buy a new car, go shop, and go do this and that. But now I'm surrounded by people who are investing in um, refurbishing home businesses, mortgages, and all kinds of stuff. But I'm not, so I gotta make some more money so I can invest.
You
So,
but see, the thing about it is, and that's what a lot of people think, Charles,
well,
that they have to make more money so they can invest. And you don't. It just starts with what you can. Start with what you can, and then consistency. Just be consistent with it.
okay.
But see, you also need a financial coach
Well, I
to
got
help
your
you.
number.
Got my number, that's right. To
Bam.
help you to help you to invest, to help you kind of like sort of like get more bang for your bucks,
Okay. Okay.
you know, compound your income.
So, 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 what is? Because everybody talk about it. What is generational wealth?
Setting something up that for your family. So, so a lot of people think, because I thought that generational wealth is that you have to have some type of business, you have to be born into something, and you leave it into to your family. You don't. You can invest your
Mm,
money, and then you have beneficiaries. You put your money into an investment, and you just leave that to your children. So that if something happens to me with my investment, if something happens to me, my three children, you split it 33%.
okay.
That's just it. Now, I know for me, I'll probably do a will because I need my children's children. Because, sometimes our children,
Blow it.
they young,
They blow it.
so they need a little bit, huh?
They blow it. They blow the bread.
I, I don't, I will hope not. I hope that I instilled enough financial education in them that they would not blow the bread.
Right.
But, I want my children's children to also have experienced that generational wealth.
Reap a benefit from what you laid down. They want to
Right.
right. So they
So
want to
it's
pick up what you put down.
right. So it starts with us, right?
Okay.
And it's just the income protection is one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that right now everybody has to have $1 million policy.
Mm-hmm.
Should you? Yeah. But realistically, can everyone afford to do that right now? Maybe not.
No.
No, the most important thing is to have something. And then
Mm.
you start an investment.
Okay.
And then you say, okay, I want this for the ones whose children are not grown. You just say, okay, I'm gonna start an investment because I don't want to have my child to have student loans. So you start now. You start putting some money aside for them now
Mm.
for college education.
Right. Hey, so still on topic, right? Because people we be taught, people be taught about a lot of things. So if you were to say, what is a financial lie that people were taught? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, some people taught certain things, but have you come across what people may have thought and it was actually a lie or a misconception?
That well, one lie I do know is that when the stock market go down, I'm gonna lose my money. That's not when the stock market goes down, that just means that stocks are really cheap and you can buy a whole bunch of stocks at a cheaper cost. That's what the wealthy do. When the stock market go down, they love it because what they do is that they buy a whole lot of stocks
Right.
at a lesser cost. But we think, I don't even know where we got that from.
Oh,
Like, who
I don't
told
know.
who told us that? Who told us that when the stock market go down, we lose money? Who told us that?
It was the people when they was jumping off the building in the 30s. That's what they said.
It's 2026 now.
I was just saying that's what they said. And, when a great stock market crash came down and people started losing stuff, they was like, "Man, I don't have nothing to live for," and they jumped off the roof. Right. So,
Yeah.
I
So
don't.
that's yeah. But
Okay, but
no.
it's a truth now. This is a truth that you taught us. It's one of them.
And
You are
then
not. I'm gonna give
huh?
you your truth. I'm gonna give you your truth that you taught us. Right. You are not broke. You just never taught.
Just never taught.
Boom.
We're not we was just never properly educated.
Okay. So
No
now,
one sat down and properly educated us.
so what should people do today? Like, I would say this. First of all, what should people do today? And you still got because I want you to keep on plugging. People need to plug and how they can touch and get in touch with you. You're in Baltimore. Yeah, matter of fact, you're in Baltimore, but can anybody anywhere get in touch with you, or how does that work?
Of course. Yes, anywhere.
Oh, you
In all
nationwide.
50 states, huh?
You nationwide.
Nationwide.
Dang. Okay. All right. So I'm just saying because some people they say, well, man, we want to be they limited to areas they can cover and things like that, right? So I'm just going over some stuff to make sure I touch bases with everything because you coming on here, it's been a breath of fresh air for some people to even just get a glimpse of what's possible. Yeah, they yeah, what's possible. And who hold on, Paula, because I gotta check somebody real quick, Paula. I gotta go down this comment. Slow Jam Ramsey. Whoever Slow Jam is gonna ask me who is Chuck. To be honest, and you know what, I'm not gonna get off the topic, but Chuck, they used to call. You know, I never even really liked a nickname, right? Because my name Charles, and it's kind of I ain't even long to say, but all my homeboys around the way they call me Chuck, right? And I try to think of a nickname for myself, but I never really could think of a nickname for myself. But when a podcast came up, it was like, well, the unspoken voices with Charles Ellis, Chuck Ellis, and I'm like, well, here's my sister. She was like, man, I can't call you Chuck. I'm like, why not? It just don't sound like I'm calling you Chuck. I gotta call you Charles. So to answer his question, that's who Chuck is, dude. Okay, back to regular station programming. All right, Paul. So give us some. All right, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes because
Okay.
I don't want to leave you stranded out there. You know, I don't want to leave you into the whole atmosphere with everybody without that good support behind you, right? But before I let you out of here, you can take matter of fact, you take as many minutes as you want, right?
Okay.
Because I think we needed to cover something else too. Did we? Well, we didn't. Did we cover the biggest part about insurance, life planning, and it's other types of insurances like renters insurance, homeowner, and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you a few minutes. Talk to the people. Tell them what you want them to know. Now is your time to shine.
Okay.
There you go. I'm out. I'm gonna sit back and relax and I'm gonna take some notes.
All right. So first we want to break the cycle. Okay. So with breaking the cycle, just know that you are not alone. You know, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's okay. That's the norm. But you're not alone and you're not stuck. That's one. So the first step that you took today is that you got on the podcast and you became aware of financial literacy, more information about income protection, and about general wealth. That you don't have to have $25,000 to start generational wealth. You don't have to have $50,000 to start an investment. And also, you just take some practical steps, right? So first, what you can do is that you can say, okay, everybody like to go to Dunkin' Donuts. I do. I do. Everybody want to get an iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. But when you pay $5 to $7 a day on an iced coffee, that's what, $25 a week? You can take that $25 a week times 4 weeks, right? That's like about almost 100, about 180 to $100 a month. You can take that and you can put it aside for income protection, or you can put it aside for an investment so that you can start building generational wealth for your family, because that generational wealth is not a person and it doesn't have a look. Anybody can build generational wealth for their family, because again, if we know better, we do better. So get educated, sit and speak with someone. I believe Charles will have my information at the end, that we can do a one-on-one and we can show you what the steps of generational wealth will look like for you. That's one thing you can do. And then, just just talk to someone and get educated. That's it. It don't cost a whole lot of money. It don't take a whole lot of time. It just takes consistency. That's just it. Consistency, and just leaving a love letter to your family. Like, how would you want your family to look if something happens to you? What would you want your family to do? What would you want your children to have? What do you want generations to have? And that's just basically it. A lot of times I talk to people and they was like, "Oh, I'm good. Someone told me he was like, no one wants to talk about life insurance. Everybody got good job insurance. But with everything that's going on with this administration, with the federal government, where is the good job? And where is the good job insurance? So you have to have some type of protection for yourself. And why would you trust the job with your family? Do you even trust the job to protect you? So why would you trust them to leave protection for your family, the ones that you hold so dear to your heart? Okay. So my biggest takeaway from this conversation today is to get educated. Sit with someone to see if you have the right insurance, the best insurance for your family. Sit with someone and say, "Hey, look, I don't want my kids to have to get oh my God, well, we want financial aid because we want the assistance, but you don't want your kids to have to get student loans. So you want to take care of it yourself. We want to stop. Now is the time to stop putting ourselves and our families in debt. Now is the time to get educated about it because, again, like I was saying, like Charles has said, if we know better, we'll do better. And don't beat yourself up. Do not beat yourself up. It's a learning process. A lot of things some people didn't know. I didn't know none of this stuff until I decided to get into financial services. And I tell you that when I saw what I saw when it was introduced to me, I needed to get this information out to my community. So, guys, I am here to be a help, to get you out of some situations, to help you get into some better situations, and to just, help out people get to where we need to be.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul. Well, I want to personally thank you again for coming on and for sharing with us the information that was well needed. And, this information could help a lot of people, one, stop stressing, you know, because it ain't just about the money. It's about making sure that your family don't suffer from what you don't know. So now a
Yeah.
lot of people, so now a lot of people do know, then they can do something about it. So again, I your I put your email is in the comment section so they can reach out to you through your email through your website. Um, is another way you want them to reach you, or we good on
They
that?
can, yep, they can text or call. Um,
Okay,
four
all right.
four
Okay,
four four
hold
three.
on. I'm gonna put it right there. Okay. Hold on.
Ready?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, give it to me. 443.
443
Uh huh.
272
272
1662.
1662. Got you. Now I just put that in there in the comments for everybody that want to reach out to you and get some financial guidance and some financial planning. Help set up some insurance plans and things like that. And hey, I wish you the best in your business.
Thank you.
I wish you the best. I'm glad you came on. I thank you for coming and gracing the Unspoken Voices podcast with your presence.
Well, I thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak about financial literacy or Financial Literacy Month to just educate our people.
I thank you, Paul. Well, you out of here. I know you got things to do, and I'll tap back in with you a little later. And let me get a close up with the folks, with the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.
All right, all right, y'all. All right. Thank me. Thanks out to Paula, man. One thing I was thinking before I leave everybody with this, we can insure our telephones, but we don't have money to insure our lives. I'm gonna say it again. You can insure your telephone, but you can't insure your life. That means your phone could drop and break, and the first thing you do is pick up and call your carrier. But if you pass away or something happens to you, You're not putting no investment in that so your family can pick it up and say, hey, we're going to take care of you. It's tough. That's tough. On the back end of it, man, I want to thank everybody for coming out, sharing this time. We've been on this joint for a whole hour, you feel me? And it's all good, though, because I think, everything. Every time I come on here, I want to give y'all something important, something purposeful, purposeful that can help enhance your life and the lives of those around you. So, there's a few notes in the comment section. As always, I plug myself. Charles Ellis, the poet. You get it? Y'all go on Instagram, grab one of my books. I got 4 of them out there. This is one of them. A Lion Sleeps in Judah, Awakening Dry Bones. Poetry by Charles Ellis. Boom. Another one, Beneath My Eyes. Poetry by yours truly, Charles Ellis. And I put a link in the comments about some songs that I got out there under my pseudonym name, Poetic Picasso. Look it up on YouTube and Spotify. I got some songs out there. Go check it out. And what else we got? What else we got going on next week? I may skip the heart. I'm not sure about next week because I got a young lady from Benedictine College that wants to come on. We want to talk about those stresses and the things that's going on in a college atmosphere because we as parents send our children away to school. But do we actually talk to them and find out what's going on with them? What's their thought concept? What are they facing? What are some of the issues that they're up against? So I really want to get to this young lady and have that conversation. So for me, we're going to be out. It is the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis, where silence is broken, truth is spoken, and healing begins. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all again next week.
This has been the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis, where silence is broken, truth is spoken, and healing begins. So remember, your voice matters, your pain has purpose, and your story deserves to be heard.
So until next time,
Stay connected,
stay encouraged.
and know that your voice is never alone.